channel. So I'm so excited. Today is Saturday, October 5th, and it's about 10 o'clock a.m. I'm gonna be going to do a podcast at noon. So right now I'm gonna go drop off Sammy. Say hi, baby. No? Okay. So I'm gonna be dropping him off so I can go do the podcast, and I'm so excited for you guys to hear it. I will finish off this video after my podcast, and what I'm gonna be doing is just some kind of timeline of my time with his dad and that abusive relationship, because it was like 4 years of my life. So I think it's important to point out what happened, because there was so much that happened throughout those 4 years, like how I met him or when I met him and how fast everything moved. Like when I found out he first cheated on me, when I moved in with him, when he first hit me. I will be getting into a lot of that, just a little timeline for you guys. And after that, I will be asking you guys for a topic or a question, and because I can talk about this all day. Like, there's so many things that happen that it's not easy to just answer a question in so many little words, like I would need to explain, because I want everyone to get like a big overview and an insight on how I felt being in that situation, because I feel like it's not talked about enough. Nobody talks about this. Nobody sits there and tells you, because a lot of people are ashamed, or a lot of people are still going through that trauma, and I'm not gonna say I'm fully healed, because it's been rough out here, but I'm getting so much better. And this is basically just like my road to recovery, and I can't wait to share that with you guys. So I just wanted to check in before my podcast, and I will be back with you guys. Hey guys, I'm here with Andrea. We're getting ready to do this podcast. I just wanted to include this snippet in here. Thank you. And I wanted her to tell you guys a little bit more about what she does with her podcast.
So basically what I do is I discover people in Arizona, whether it be creatives or just people like Jasmine with a story that others can learn from, and I interview them, and we're here gonna uncover everything that she's gone through, and hopefully she'll inspire everybody else to keep fighting and keep growing like she is already. So that's pretty much me.
Yeah, so I just wanted to show you guys. I'm so excited. We're gonna go ahead and do this. I'll leave the link down below to her podcast so you guys can check her out, and I'll check back in later. So it's a few days later. I was gonna try to put out this video on Monday, but I wanted to make sure I put it out the same day as the podcast went live, just so you guys can listen to that and kind of get a glimpse of, my story at least. So just to finish off this video, I wanted to go ahead and just do some statistics on domestic violence and kind of like a timeline as far as that relationship for me, so you guys can kind of see what the last 5 years of my life looked like. I do want to point out that I view this channel as like my road to recovery. I will have a lot of everything on here. This is about my mental health. This is about my physical health. This is about helping others. This is about sharing my story. This is about empowering other women to learn how to love themselves, which is something that I'm still learning myself. So I don't want to put it out as that, oh, I know it all, but no. So definitely I'm just going to review this timeline and some statistics with you guys, and that'll be the video. I think this will be up Wednesday, and I'll be linking my podcast down below along with Andrea's podcast and her Instagram and all of that, just so you guys can check her out. I think what she's doing is amazing, and I appreciate her for giving me the opportunity to share my story on her platform. She was so nice and welcoming, and I think it was a really cool experience, especially for me just starting off on here. But yeah, so I printed out some statistics and a timeline of like my relationship with my abuser, of course, just because so much went into it, and a lot of people try to question like, why did you stay that long? And it has more to do with the time that they spent manipulating you and pretending to be someone they weren't, to kind of like engage you, and then at the end of the day they were just hurting you. And you think a lot of people view us as stupid, which I'm not saying we're not. I don't view it like we're stupid, but now that I'm out of it, I feel stupid, if that makes sense. So I just feel like we were manipulated by people who know how to do this, and they've been doing it to several people, and they go along their lives treating people like shit for whatever reason. So, one of the statistics I have here is in the United States, an average of 20 people experience intimate partner physical violence every minute. This equates to more than 10 million abuse victims annually. Like, that is a lot of people a year. I'm gonna link also the website I'm using. I have like the paper here, just because I don't want to take any credit. This is something I got offline, but I'm gonna be linking it down below. Let's see. On a typical day, domestic violence hotlines nationwide, receive over 20,000 calls. 20,000 calls in one day. Can you believe that? Like, that is so many people. And to think that there's people who don't even call these hotlines. Because I myself never called a hotline, ever. I never called the police. I never called anybody. I kept it all to myself. So imagine, these are the people that are actually reaching out for help, which I admire so much because I couldn't do that then. But can you believe that? That's so many people. Intimate partner violence accounts for 15% of all violent crime. There is so much domestic violence in the world, and it's not even just physical violence, guys. I want you guys to understand that it's verbal, it's mental, it's emotional. There's so much that goes into it because a lot of that leads up to the physical part of it. And I'm going to get so in depth about my outlook on it. I do want to state that anything I don't link or anything that I say is not factual. It's all opinionated. It's all based on experience. I don't want anyone taking anything out of context. Like, it is what it is. I'm just sharing my story. I'm not sitting here saying that I know it all or any of that. Now, 19% of intimate partner violence involves a weapon. That's scary because you know how many people actually die from domestic violence? Like, a lot. So it's a really scary thing. And then there's so many things about it, like there's sexual assault, there's stalking, there's physical, there's homicide, there's mental effects, economic effects. Like, physical and mental effects. Victims of intimate partner violence are at increased risk of contracting HIV or other STDs due to forced intercourse and or prolonged exposure to stress. Now, I was never forced, but I do feel like I was manipulated into it because there was shitty situations where I didn't want to, and that was just his way of us making up or whatever the case was. And let's see. Intimate partner victimization is correlated with a higher rate of depression and suicidal behavior. Now, I can stand by this just because I felt really depressed and suicidal after the situation that I was in, even after I got out of it. So it's something really hard to deal with. Only 34% of people who are injured by intimate partners receive medical care for their injuries. Guys, that's insane. And I have to agree with that one because I never received medical care. One time I thought he broke my nose because he did headbutt me on my nose, and it's actually kind of fucked up here. Like, you can't see it. Luckily, he didn't like fuck it up to where it was super noticeable, but if I touch here, it's like uneven. Like, my bone is like, it's not the same on both sides. I did go to urgent care that one time, but then he brutally beat me after that, and I didn't seek any medical help. So it's crazy to think that we're so afraid, or we know we're not gonna leave, so we just decide to stay in these situations. Like, it's really shitty. Now let's go over my timeline really quick. I don't want to make this video too long. This is just a summarization of what my channel is going to consist of, at least for this month and for whatever videos you guys request. Now, I did point out that I was really depressed and suicidal after this had happened, both during the relationship and even after I left it. Like, just recently I started feeling and getting better. So that's why I wanted to share my story, because it was so hard and suddenly it began to get better. And I was like, you know what? Like, there has to be a reason why I went through all of this, and I'm gonna make it work. I was watching Jeffree Star's Snapchat today, and to my surprise, I actually heard him say something so beautiful that like hit me hard. He was talking about people going through things. He's like, everybody's going through something, just know that you're not alone. And it's so true. And he said, how do you find happiness through all the darkness? That's something that like we think when we're going through shit. And that hit me because it's so real. But let's get into the timeline now. I met him in November of 2014. We started dating about 2 weeks later. I do want you guys to know that it was something that happened super fast. So that's why, like, I'll get into details. I can do a story time on how we met and things like that. But just a quick, like, timeline. I want to say we were, like, sexually active with each other about a month after that. In March of 2015, so about 4 months into the relationship, I find out he was cheating on me. I stayed through that. Um, I didn't really include small little details because it is a lot, but between March of 2015 and April 2016, there was a lot of me finding out more and things like that. Other girls he was cheating on me with and all this. But April of 2016, I moved in with him. I was only 18. July 2016 is when the first time that I recall that he was physical with me. Now, I want you guys to know that I say it this way. And if you listen in the podcast, you'll know why I say this. There are certain situations told people that I didn't remember, and that I later looked back at pictures and I found evidence of what they were telling me, but I don't remember. So I don't know if it's something that I blacked out or if it's something that in my mind I just decided to kind of like blur these memories or whatever in order to like justify me being there. In February 2017 is when he brutally beat me. Like, this is the worst time ever. And as time goes by, I will be sharing screenshots and pictures of the abuse with you guys. I'm going to be really open about this. I really don't care. I just, I'm not afraid of him. I don't want him to have that power over me where I feel like I have to be silenced. Literally like 2 weeks after he brutally beat me in March of 2017, I find out that I'm pregnant. Even after the fact, guys, I need you guys to let this sink in. August of 2017, we get married and we buy a house. After the abuse, after all the cheating, after me being pregnant, okay? Let that sink in. November of 2017, Sammy is born. And about 7 months later, June of 2018, I do leave him. In August of 2018, he stopped saying Sammy. I will get into details as well. It wasn't by choice, but he was just taunting me and being childish like always. September of 2018, I hire a lawyer. November of 2018, we go to court for a temporary order. February of 2019, we get divorced. And there's a bunch of legal stuff in play. I'll talk about all of that later. But I just wanted you guys to get some insight on how and what I went through, kind of summarized. You guys can ask me questions. You guys can request video ideas. And I'll be happy to be more open on this because, it's time that people start to open up. I feel like a lot of people are scared to talk about it, and I don't want that to be me. So that's it for this video, guys. I know it's kind of like short and sudden, but it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month in October, so that's why I wanted to share it at this time. And thanks for watching. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video.